Good timing.
Thank you for coming back to Generation Strength Does Things. Here today, we have Amber, Chris, Ransom, and me, Brian. And we're going to teach you some deadlift things. We're going to go over snatch grips, eccentric pauses, and Boris pulls today to help you increase that upper back. And some other things, but stick around so you can find out what those other things are.
All right, what's up guys? So today we are going to be talking about snatch grip first. So this is a personal favorite deadlift variation of mine, whether it's a conventional puller or a sumo puller. So we're going to break it down real quick. We're going to go from stance all the way to execution, where to put it in your programming, all that shit. So regardless of conventional puller or sumo puller, I generally like to have people set up a little bit wider than their normal stance. Narrow stance is going to put a little bit more stress on the hamstrings and the low back. With a wider stance, we're able to focus a little bit more on wedging our hips into the bar, getting a little bit more quads off the floor, and mainly focusing on the leg drive off the floor initially. So Amber will come up to the bar here, and her normal deadlift stance for conventional is, it's about right there, right? That's your normal conventional stance. So her stance is already pretty wide, so there's not really a need to have her widen her stance. Can you narrow it just a little bit, like typical, a little bit more now. If her stance was about here normally as a conventional puller, I would have her widen it a little bit more, so that way when she comes down into her stance, she can really focus on driving those knees out and getting her hips into the bar. So since that's her stance normally, there's no need to mess with it. So hand placement, this is a big one. I see a lot of people mess this up. I've messed this up in the past. When we have the bar locked out at the top, the bar should be pretty close to our hip crease. And if you're familiar with weightlifting at all, if you feel like you couldn't throw that bar over your head with your hands in that position, you're probably doing it wrong. So just a general rule of thumb is I like to have at the least amount, I like to have people have their hand outside of the ring on a deadlift bar. So if you don't have a deadlift bar, then go with the general rule of thumb of having the bar close to your hip crease or just below. So I'll have Amber go ahead and set up here. It's 135, so hopefully you can handle this without straps. So big thing here with a snatch grip pull when we're going over the intention of actually initiating the lift is we want this to be a really smooth, controlled break off the floor, right? I want Amber to be able to wedge into the bar slowly, and when she pushes that bar off the floor, I want her chest and hips to rise in sync with each other. Go ahead. Yep. Perfect looking snatch grip. A common issue I see with this is, go back down, is that people will, generally people that I give this movement to, they have the same issue with their normal conventional pulls. They'll come down and they'll just jerk the bar off the floor. So with a snatch grip deadlift, where your hands are a lot wider, there's a lot more demand on keeping your upper back tight in your setup. If you try to jerk the bar off the floor like that, your hips are gonna shoot back really, really bad, and it's gonna be very, very sloppy looking. So I will generally tell people when we set up here to almost tempo their start. We want to push into that floor really, really slow and get a really nice smooth break off the floor. And then accelerate through the lift. Good. So by doing that, she's able to keep her hips and chest in sync with each other when she pushes off the floor. All right, so we covered stance, we covered hand placement, going into execution, we covered slow break off the floor. I didn't really cover elbows then, did I?
No, something we kind of missed there was talking about what to actually do with your hands and your arms. Just like in the conventional deadlift, we kind of want to think about twisting our elbows inward towards the opposite hip. Very similar with going in snatch grip. So as I get down to the bar, I'm going to create tension or intent. I'm going to pull up, pull the slack over the bar, and then twist my elbows inward. Notice how my chest is up and out, my back is set, and now I'm ready to push.
There we go. Last big thing to talk about here with snatch grip deadlifts is you'll generally see them programmed from blocks or off the floor. So now for me, with my clients, the only time I will program a snatch grip off blocks versus the floor is if a lifter is not able to maintain good positioning getting all the way to the floor. So what I mean by that is if Amber were to come to the bar here, if she were to set up, there's gonna be there's going to be a lot more demand on her hips to maintain good positioning, right? We have this really wide grip. So, for me, even with my long arms, if I were to come down to the bar, it's pretty easy for me to get there. But if I widen out my grip, I'm going to have to essentially squat down a lot more to get to the bar. So for some people, they might not be able to prevent their lower back from rounding right here to get to the bar. So Amber tends to struggle with that. She's able to maintain pretty good positioning here with just this amount of weight on the bar. But when she gets to a weight that's heavy enough for her to actually get something out of it within her actual programming, we will actually add blocks to this because we're able to maintain good hip positioning from that height. Now over time, we might be able to work to pulling from the floor. But that's just something to note, that if you're not able to maintain a good position with the bar on the floor, then add blocks, right? You're still gonna get a lot of out of the movement. It's still gonna be great for upper back and lats and everything like that, but we want to make sure we're doing things efficiently, so add blocks if you're not able to do that.
All right, so the beautiful Brian Kane and I are gonna go over eccentric pauses.
Woo! Tag team! The Wonder Twins, back again. All right, so Rance is gonna demonstrate, and we'll both kind of run you through this.
Exactly.
So we're just gonna show you conventional. We've already gone through. What did you just say?
I have no idea. You screwed
Don't
this
listen.
up.
Don't listen to the man behind the curtain. So we're gonna go over this. We've already gone over how to deadlift, so we're not gonna go over that. We're gonna go over the pauses. Jesus Christ, my brain today is smooth. All right. So let's just run it through real quick. This is what an eccentric pause is. So you're gonna come up and you're gonna go down and maintain the proper position all the way down and pause directly off the floor. You didn't do it.
Oh, that's right. As long as you're perfect. My bad. Let's go over.
Okay, that's how you don't do it. Okay, so you're gonna normal pull, nice controlled down, pause to the ground. All right, so let's start with a couple key points here. The key here, well, the overall theme is control, because you're maintaining tension, you're maintaining position throughout the entire movement. So, pop off the ground, and you want to control. Good hinge, all the way down, good pause, and then control the drop.
Yeah.
Control the drop.
What you don't want is here.
Yes.
Drop it.
You can drop it hard, but you need to maintain position the whole time. Show them that. From there. See, he's still coming down. He's not controlling it necessarily, but he is at the same time.
Yeah, the big thing with that is you want to control it all the way down, because that way you don't have to reset your hips.
Yep.
You're trying to find your good starting position here.
Yes.
That's what we're reinforcing. So if you're here and you pause, and you come down, what do I have to do now? Everything's loose. I have to find my starting position again. It's not what we want.
No, that's not what we want.
So we come here instead. Up, tight, pause, boom. My hips stay in the same spot, and then it's up again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And keep an eye on his back. Now I know it's lightweight. That's fine. But you need to keep this the same from 135 all the way to 80-85%. Whatever you're doing on that day, you need to make sure that you're not coming down and rounding down, and you're actually maintaining that proper position all the way through. If you break form, you're going too heavy, and you need to back it down. Because guess what? We just found a weakness. Your upper back ain't strong enough to handle this.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to cap this video off going over some Boris pulls. So you may have seen these done with kind of like they're called pump fakes, or they might be done as partials. But in this instance, I like to do them where you'll do partials and then you'll finish the full lift.
Yeah,
So-
it really doesn't matter. Coach's discretion. People throw fits over doing them as a partial, just one pull to the knee, setting down. Amber and I program them pretty similarly, where we'll do one or two pulls to the knee, and then tying it off with a pull, full range of motion.
It's just nice to piece everything together. That way you're not going from doing partials and then maybe into your main movement of like a full deadlift. So it's piecing everything together, checking off all those boxes and putting that puzzle together.
Context is everything.
So the reason we do this is because it builds not just your start position, but it builds the entire lift as a whole. The major point that we want to hit here is it's all about control. A lot of people will rush this movement where they will just pull to the knee and drop it, pull to the knee and drop it. I like to actually see more of a pause at the knee, maintain that tension, and then down to the floor. Chris will demonstrate what you should look for. So notice how he's pausing, nice control at the knee, down, and then he'll finish the entire round. What we don't want to see is a rush movement, no control. This is where it gets sloppy and you're unable to maintain that tension throughout the lift.
Yeah, kind of similar concept to what Ranson and Brian covered with the eccentric pauses, where when we come up and we come back down, and people will get loose, they'll lose all their tension through their lats, they'll lose their brace, they'll have to reset their hips, and it becomes very, very inefficient. We want to come up, we hit this pause, lower nice and controlled. I maintain a pretty good start position for the most part. I might re-wedge into the bar just a tiny bit and come back up, but I'm not wasting a lot of time in between reps here. This is a pretty quick set. Shouldn't take me a lot of time to complete the reps here.
But the point being, this is a position builder.
Yes.
So if it's a position builder, why would you ruin your position by losing tension as you eccentrically drop the bar to the floor?
Exactly.
Just because it's a Russian movement doesn't mean you should be rushing
I
through
hate
it.
you. God
But otherwise, I would say that's pretty much it for your Boris pulls.
no idea.
Again, at coach's discretion, you can do pull to the knee where you don't finish the lift. But in this instance, we like to put everything together, so we'll do pulls to the knee and then finish with a full lift.
Sorry, I should have thrown this in earlier. Similar again to what we talked about with the eccentric pauses, where when they're lowering the bar to the floor, we want to try to recreate that deadlift pattern in reverse. Same thing with these on the way up. When I give these to clients, first couple times they do them, they might struggle. When we do these initial pulls to the knee, they're, like she said earlier, they're very sloppy, and they're not similar to what we would do if we would just do a normal rep. So when we're doing these partial reps, we want to make sure that the deadlift looks the same as if it would as if I was doing a full rep. So I'm not here, my head isn't down, I'm not just pulling fast here, I'm wedging, getting my head tall, and I'm pulling to my knee exactly as I would if I was pulling a full rep.
So in a sense, you can almost think of, particularly in this movement, the sumo deadlift has two parts. The pull to the knee and then the finish. But in this instance, you're piecing it all together. So don't be sloppy with your positions. Do it as if you were going to do a complete deadlift.
There you go, Boris pulls.
Oh, what do we do now?
What do we do? So we have covered snatch grip, Boris pulls, eccentric pauses.
We did fun deadlift things. I don't know what to do. Oh, down, up.
Oh, down. There you go.
Next week, tune in for some squat variations.
Yeah, we're gonna cover a lot of squat variations next week. This is gonna be really fun. It's gonna be really informative. So like, subscribe, share.
Hit the notification bell.
We're pumping out all this quality content, and we want to improve the lifting community. Tell your friends.
Comment, make some suggestions.
Yeah,
We
tell us
want to
what you wanna
hear
see.
what you want to hear.
We are men and women of the people. For the people.
Really, men and women?
Well, men Canadian. Okay. Men and Canadian for the people. By the people, for the people. I'm just saying. Someone stop me. Goodbye.
Cut.